You're listening to iFanboy Mediasplode episode 64. The year-end mailbag is all we do is answer emails anymore. My name is Conor Kilpatrick. This is Josh Flanagan with me.
Hold on, I'm turning off my medication alarm.
And Ron Richards.
It's just a community interaction podcast now. That's all it
Right.
is. We're just exactly.
We're all wearing green.
Yep.
No one's feeling well.
This is grayish.
Yeah.
It's a little green. It's a tiny bit green.
This is green, so it's making this.
For our audio listeners, we're all wearing shirts that are the color green. So,
Again, it is gray.
Yeah, it is funny. It is very funny. I do laugh because this show, as we made the move to video this year, and my other show, Android Faithful, has always been we recorded on video and release on audio. Both shows have the same makeup in that the majority of the audience is audio.
Yeah.
And yet when you record the video, your natural instinct is to lean into to assume everyone is watching this.
Sure.
But no, the majority of people are listening to it. So you always have to remember to say, audio listeners, everyone is wearing a shirt that is green.
So what you're saying is, for the most part, it's true that they are not, in fact, viewers.
They are not viewers. Can we table it? Let's just table it.
We have a lot to talk about and a short amount of time to do it. So let's get right into it. Well, first, what is this show? This is our monthly non-comic book media show. We talk about comics every week on our Fanboy Pick of the Week show. But the patrons opened this up during the pandemic for us to talk about non-comic book media, which we'll do in our special edition shows. So thanks for the patrons at patreon.com/ifanboy.
I will say that on my other show, on Android Faithful, on our pre-show, we started talking about movies and TV, and someone in the chat said, "Hey, Ron, you should do a podcast about movies and TV." And I said, "Actually, I do."
Is your other show budget pay for promotion on this show?
Yeah, we're gonna send you an invoice for advertisement.
It's all under one umbrella. According to the IRS.
I have noticed less money in the bank account.
Shh! Don't say a word.
Let's start with.
Look, it's all fine. It's all fine.
Our opening segment. What have we been enjoying since we last talked to you? And Josh.
I thought it was just watching. I didn't know that we were
watching. What media have you?
Enjoying is in quotes because sometimes we don't enjoy it.
It's media. It's media.
Yeah.
I understand that you're talking to the audience, not me, but I'm like, I know, guys. But then I realize I'm dry, and somebody out there who's been watching me for 20 years hasn't caught on to that yet. Fine. I wanted to talk about Downey Wrote That, which is a short.
No spoilers. I haven't watched it yet.
Well, the thing is that Jim Downey wrote a large portion of what they're talking about. I cannot imagine in 1 million years that I would be at the point where I would look up one day and find an hour and a half ish on the writer Jim Downey. It's more than that. Oh,
yeah. Was this part of the SNL 50 overall production?
It clearly was,
and it just didn't get done in time.
I'm guessing something.
It clearly
like
was.
that.
Yeah,
that's my guess. Yeah.
All right. So if you don't know who Jim Downey is, I consider myself very lucky to have sort of like known who he is for a really long time, because when I was a kid, that was, my favorite thing was watching Saturday Night Live for, most through high school. And at some point I came to learn who Jim Downey was, and that was the first time I understand, there's a TV writer. There's a person who isn't necessarily famous. Now, I didn't know all of the things that he did, but I was aware of a few of them. My personal favorite thing that he's ever done, and maybe my favorite sketch ever, there's so many of them. When you watch Downey Wrote That, you'll literally say, Downey wrote that?
Yeah, he basically wrote all of the best sketches ever.
Yeah, I would say that anyway. So the Change Bank sketch is maybe my favorite sketch of all time.
Sure.
And it is the perfect distillation of this man's sense of humor. And one of the great things. So basically, Downey was hired for the show for SNL in the second season, I think maybe third.
He came with Bill Murray.
So, and then he's
I
been
watched
on
last night, by the way. So
he's been off and on it up through 2013 when he left, but I would be shocked if he hasn't written some stuff since then. And he spent a little time in the first couple of years of Letterman, and just all of these seminal comedy moments that I feel like people have been trying to top and not rip off, but like in the standing on the shoulders of giants ways for that whole time. So you've got the Change Bank. Probably the most famous ones are the period where Norm Macdonald was on Update and Downey was the secret sort of not NBC approved writer for that, because he'd already been fired for something else earlier. And so all of those jokes, those sort of savage OJ jokes and all those things, that was, Downey and Norm in perfect synchronicity. And I don't know. Watching this was like a stroll down the lane of everything I ever loved about comedy. And like between honestly Downey, there's other people involved, but Downey's sense of humor and like Monty Python, those are two of the things that have mostly shaped my idea of what is funny. There's a super dry sense, never really going for like the big gag. I don't love broad humor, but just the intelligence and the
But you love humor about broads.
But he would also do broad humor. I mean, Colin Blow's pretty broad.
Yeah. But it was still under the auspices of like a very serious, like nobody winks at the camera. Everybody plays it straight up.
They hold it. Yeah, they hold it the
and
entire
him
time.
more than anybody. Yeah. Whenever you see and I think maybe the first time I saw Billy Madison, I didn't really know that was him. He was familiar in some way I couldn't tell, but he's got this scene in Billy Madison that
he wrote that
at one point. Yeah,
like
Downey wrote that.
Sandler said, "Do this movie," and he said, "Okay," and then he rewrote this scene.
Right. At no time in any of your rambling, incoherent response was anything. I don't quite have it. Was anything resembling a coherent thought? We're all dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul. That was my outgoing message for a while in college, which was useless as an outgoing message, and honestly quite long. But like at a certain point, writers and cast members, past and present, I'm still recovering, start talking about the mechanics of Downey written jokes and things like that. And I was like, I can't believe that I'm watching an analysis of comedy writing about a guy who's not famous. And it was joyous. Like to just like, I saw it and I was like, I want to watch this, but I don't want to like rush it and waste it. Like I had to savor it. And yeah, if you're me or probably both of you, and some people reading it, it's satisfying. It's very much about the work. It's not so much about him. It isn't like Downey was born.
You get a little bit about his family and his
you get a little. And I mean, but like early on, I was kind of shocked. Like he's in charge of the Harvard Lampoon. Shocking. But he did this like stunt. Here's the thing I never knew. He did this stunt where I'm trying to think. He challenged John Wayne to come out for a roast at Harvard, and they had this amazing footage of them basically making fun of a very jocular and chuckling John Wayne at a point where he was kind of at his lowest fame while he was still alive, or public opinion. And I was like, wow. And then a bunch of the things, like he came up with a top 10 list for Letterman. Just the great.
Yeah, I mean,
great
if you've enjoyed comedy specifically from the SNL tree, which has many branches, right? Jim Downey is a part of that, and this is probably a must watch. I gotta watch it. It's only 106, which is an hour 6 minutes, which is great.
I watched it during dinner last night. It was quick.
So
I have ads on Peacock. I have not sprung for the extra, so that's why.
Yeah. Definitely, it's on my list to watch. So
strategery. I'm a big Dennis Lehane fan. I've read most of his books at this point. And so when I saw Smoke on Apple TV, starring Elton John and the girl from Friday Night Lights, the later seasons, who
Journey
Smollett, and Taron Egerton. It was created by Dennis Lehane. I was like, okay, this is exciting. And so it's a story of an arsonist investigator. And if you've ever really read it or watched any movies from Dennis Lehane, with the exception of Shutter Island, which I can in no way explain, it's fucked up people doing fucked up shit. And so this turns around a lot through the course of the whole thing. I will tell you, I did not particularly love Taron Egerton in this. I thought he overplayed it to a large extent. And I think that I watched Gone Baby Gone like concurrently because I'd finished the book, and I wanted to see how they did it versus this. And this is done very sort of not super down. There's actually a lot of not hallucination, but there's like things where you can't quite tell if it's a dream sequence or not. And in fact, the ending is very ambiguous in a way. So I feel like it's worth watching, and it was really interesting, but it was one of those things I was like, this would have worked much better as a book that he would have written. Like I could 100% see it as one of his who's the Gone Baby Gone? This is the team. Kenzie and Gennaro. The characters of Kenzie and Gennaro. Gone Baby Gone is the 4th book in the Kenzie and Gennaro series. Actually turned out to be a very good adaptation when I went through it again. But a lot of it, I was like, well, I don't know that this is playing on the screen. That said, there are some highlights in here. I think Journey Smollett is really good in a role. I mean, I'd only really seen her in Friday Night Lights, but she's like a tough, like a war veteran, has been through, and she's all like jacked and strong, and she's fantastic. Greg Kinnear, I know, like, did he win an Oscar or was he not? He won.
Well,
Yeah,
for as good as it gets, right?
Yeah. He's great in that movie.
I still think that he's an underrated actor who we don't get to see enough. He's
agreed. Yeah,
he's incredible. And then listen, normally when I see John Leguizamo, I think to myself, "Oh no, it's John Leguizamo."
He's great. I love John Leguizamo.
I don't always love him. I just don't like his energy. I think it makes me anxious.
Great.
But the point being, first of all, he's old as shit. He's like 65, and he plays like a reprobate in this, and he still looks great for that age. This was the best thing that I've seen him in forever. I thought he was excellent. He was totally captivating and interesting, and I don't think it's a
hold on. You just blew my mind. I didn't realize John Leguizamo was 65.
Oh, I looked it up.
Crazy.
Get ready for this to keep happening, and then we all die.
Oh my God, he's fantastic. 65. Oh my God,
he's doing great for 65.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he was 30 for 40 years.
For 40 years, clearly, yeah.
And like great in the menu.
Yeah, he was like my favorite part of this, which is not usual for me. I don't think it's fully successful. I think it is worth watching.
I heard bad things about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it helps that I had my my perspective of, being pretty Dennis Lehane heavy for the past few years. The showrunners are people from like The Wire and people from Justified and Band of Brothers. It's a high quality group of folks, but it is unusual. A lot of
and Taron Egerton and Greg Kinnear were in Dennis Lehane's other show, Black Sheep.
They're part of the Lehane-verse.
What was that show, Josh? Black, whatever it was called, Black Sheep.
I don't know.
About the serial killer and the guy who goes into prison to get him to confess.
Oh, that one?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was excellent, and that was also on Apple TV.
Blackbird.
Yeah, and he won Sorry, Sheep threw me off.
Yeah. So it's funny because I'm a big fan of Dennis Lehane too, and that Blackbird show was awesome. And this show, according to the poster, came out in June. I was talking to a friend of mine a couple weeks ago about how Apple TV makes the best shows, and they're the worst at marketing them.
Yeah.
Like this show should have been on my radar. I should have been watching this in June, and I didn't even know it existed until you mentioned it.
On the Apple TV app, and then like they just put up an ad for the next Hijack, and it's like January. It's like I gotta watch this promo for 2 months now.
Well, don't get me started on the Apple TV app because I don't know if anyone else is dealing with this or if it's just a Google TV Android version thing, but it logs me out within a week. Every week I have to relog into the damn app, and it's driving
That's not an Apple TV problem.
Drives me crazy. Anyway, but no, Connor, you're absolutely right. I don't know if they have the best shows, but I
think on aggregate they have the best shows.
The show,
percentage-wise,
Hulu is second.
Hulu's doing a great job, which is going away, which is funny, ironic.
Yeah.
But it is absolutely a tree falls in the forest problem that they are just doing nothing to market.
I think this week there's a new show from the guy behind Slow Horses, the same book writer.
Yeah,
and
the Emma Thompson one.
Until I saw it when I went to watch Slow Horses, I was like, "What's this show?" Like they don't market their shows at all. It's
the Apple gravitas that we don't need to and blah blah. And it's like whatever.
For a company so good at marketing their products, they're really bad at marketing their TV shows.
I mean, like internally, as a person who's pretty heavily inside the infrastructure ecosystem, I don't have that problem. Like my problem is there's too many fucking things everywhere.
Right.
So
I would even say that they don't know how to market media. They don't know how to market TV and film, right? Like they know how to market consumer products and technology and things like that. But when it comes to how and part of it also is part and parcel with the media landscape. And there's Josh, to your point, there's so much noise. How do you break through the noise? How do you get to anyone? I mean, it was funny because I was out in the world. I've been out in the world a lot recently. I've been traveling. I've been doing stuff. I was in where the hell was I? Was I in Chicago? Yes, I was outside of Chicago. I was in Schaumburg, and I had to get lunch, and I stopped at a Raising Cane's, the chicken fingers place. Yeah. The entire food place was covered in Chad Powers promo. They had the Chad Powers meal. They had Chad Powers, and I was like, "This is how you promote a show."
That said, let's table it and move on.
Yeah. Oh, says the babbling guy. Okay,
it was my section. And then you were like, "Let's talk about Apple marketing."
I'll go quickly because I do want to get to the emails. Wanted to mention this past week.
Wardrobe change, but I'm right here.
This past week was Only Murders in the Building's finale, the newest season. season 5.
This
I
is the
love
best season in years.
This season was terrific.
So good.
I always love the show. I love the leads. I just love being with them. But
Yep.
some seasons better than others. This was really, really good, and featured a wonderful cast of Oscar winners in the supporting roles for Meryl Streep and Renee Zellweger, Diane Wiest.
It was a lot of celebrity cameo casting this season, a lot. But it was good.
And Christoph Waltz. I mean, it was great about the secret casino underneath the building. And
good Bobby Cannavale.
Bobby Cannavale was great, and
name some bad Bobby Cannavale.
Sure,
and just they have such a wonderful chemistry and rhythm. Steve Martin is 80 years old now.
Yeah,
they're doing another season 6.
They just got renewed. It's fantastic.
And it's wonderful to see them, get to play these roles and get to live these roles and get to explore different facets of them every season. And
I want to know what happened with this season on the writing staff, because the writing specifically between the trio, Selena Gomez, Steve Martin, and Martin Short, and then also, and Connor, you probably can reflect, they leaned into the Steve Martin Short of it a lot this year. There was a lot of, they've been doing their traveling show, whatever comedy, like the two, there was a lot of that kind of humor sprinkled into it in their banter, more so than previous seasons. And it was great. It was like pop.
And also super meta more than other, like there was one point where someone asked a question of why a character didn't do something, and Martin Short said, because then it wouldn't be a season.
Right.
And I was just like, wow.
They kept on referring to, you've been great this season. They've been referring to a season. Also, what I love about this, and apparently they've been doing it through all 5 seasons, but they did it a lot this season, is that they're also referencing their own works, their own careers. Like in the last episode, there was a birds attacked the mayor, who's Key Peele, not Jordan Peele, but the other one, Keegan Michael. I can never remember his name. And Steve Martin started doing the bird call that he did in Three Amigos. Right? There's like lots of little sprinkled in references to their own films.
They might as well, because this is, Steve Martin said many times, this is the last thing he's going to do, on screen. So they might as well make it a career thing. But
there's probably also like an element of like, they did all the things, they got all the accolades. Like, what else can they do to make it fun for themselves? And he's 80, and like they have all of the freedom in the world, so let it rip in a way. Which in some shows I'd be like, don't do that, but like here, let them be.
They've earned it. They've earned the right to do that. And speaking of looking great, like John Leguizamo, Steve Martin at 80 looks awesome.
80. I don't watch the show, but Lindsay does, so I'm sort of in the room sometimes when it's on, and like he sounds and looks exactly like he has pretty much her whole life. Yeah,
it's great. This season was probably the best season since season 1, I think.
And it helps to be dating her, but like Meryl Streep comes and goes in a supporting role in a TV show is still so bizarre to me, and she's awesome. That one episode where all the women got together to go to the casino, and they had that scene where I think I counted there were 8 Oscars sitting at the table. Like, it was an awesome episode, an awesome scene. I really liked the mystery, and I also like that they kind of jettisoned the podcast angle. Like this season they did because they got bought out by the villain, and then they couldn't do the show anymore. And that was earlier this. I wish that Nobody Wants Us would also do that, because that's the worst part of that show.
I got to start watching that season. And once you gave a thumbs down on it, I was like, oh, but yeah. So
anyway, I loved it. This was great, and I really enjoyed this season.
The season was awesome.
I thought we should probably mention that this was the end of what WTF with Marc Maron. It ended mid-October. October 13th was the final episode. He did 1,686 shows. The last 2, I haven't listened regularly in a long time. I was never really a regular listener. I'd always pop in and out when he was, depending on the guest. When he was in that period where he was really obsessed with SNL and Lauren, and that was probably for me the most entertaining parts. And that whole sequence where he interviewed all the old comedians that were still alive was probably the best stretch of the show. But I hadn't listened in years. But the last 2 episodes I listened to, the second to last episode was just him solo on the mic for 40 minutes, sort of talking about the show and ending it and his feelings and working his way through it. And it was really, really good. And then the final episode, unsurprisingly, I think, was that he went and sat down with Obama again, and they had a really, really great conversation for about an hour and a half. Of course, Obama was the guest that really blew his show up in the public consciousness. But I thought the last 2 episodes were really great. I listened to them back to back, and it was a nice goodbye to it was a good, obviously we wouldn't be here without him. Clearly, that's what all the media says.
I mean, that's what he says. So, yeah.
So,
You know what? I will absolutely tell you that he influenced me in the way that I interview people.
sure.
That was, I mean, I did it beforehand, but like him and Terry Gross are the two. But I mean, I was a big listener. I don't think I listened to every episode. You have people who listen to every episode, but a lot. But I think that to me, there's different eras. Much like The Simpsons. So the first bit is all comedians, and I was
Yep.
like, I love,
Yep.
I love stand-up comedy, and most of the people he's talking to are from the era of people that I know. So that was really interesting. And then in the middle part, around Obama, a little before, and I kind of dropped off as it started to get more market based, like somebody's promoting a thing and they come on, and that kind of wasn't the deal for a while. And then when it was, it didn't make the show any worse. I don't know, but he did to me what was probably one of the most comprehensive oral histories of entertainment, and he covered it like in cinema, and then he
Mhm.
covered rock and roll. Like he covered and somewhere outside of it, but like there were a bunch of interviews with music legends, and I was like, this is unprecedented, other than like a book that's been written, but this is primary source in those, and that to me is a huge historical document, I think.
Yep. No, he did it. I mean, his show was wonderful. I didn't listen to all of them, but it was wonderful. So hope he's in his 60s, whatever. I don't know what he's gonna do next, but
He's in his 60s.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Do you remember when he turned 40 and it was like the thing on his show? It was like, I'm 40, and then it was like, I'm 50. That was my Maron impersonation,
God.
but I just have a cold.
Thankfully, Ethan Hawke is only in his 50s. But let me tell you, I don't want to talk about it quickly because it's still in progress, at least at the time.
One episode left.
There's one episode left. So when this comes out, it might just be over.
It'll be over.
But the Lowdown on Hulu, on FX and Hulu, has just been a delight to watch.
So good. It's so good.
Yeah. So Sterling Harjo, who did Reservation Dogs with Connor, which you loved, you were a big proponent on this show about. The Lowdown has been a 8-episode season done in the style of The Long Goodbye. If you're familiar with the film, noirish kind of, noirish. Sorry,
it's one of the best noirish things I've seen in forever.
Yeah, it's great. And what I love about it is, it takes place in Tulsa, much
Oklahoma,
like
Tulsa,
Sterling Harjo's, home and knows it so well. The cast is amazing. Ethan Hawke in the lead. It's got Kyle MacLachlan as the villain. You've got Tim Blake Nelson as the person who died, who is the kind of the catalyst for everything. Gene Triplehorn is in it. Keith David, Peter Dinklage makes an appearance in one episode.
He was so good. If he doesn't win an Emmy for that,
that was a great appearance. That was so good. But it is a great noir mystery, and it is a good hang. It creates this little universe that you want to be a part of. I mean, Ethan Hawke is a writer / conspiracy theorist who owns a used bookstore on a block that's also got a record store and a diner, and you just want to live on this block, and it's just so cool.
And a hilarious lawyer.
Yeah, but what I think is amazing about the show is that you never know what's going to happen from episode to episode. That it really spans the gamut from comedy to action to suspense to thriller to there's so many. It's been such an up and down roller coaster. And after watching 7 of the 8 episodes, I said to my wife, I'm like, oh, it's over next week, and she's like, how's it going to wrap up? I'm like, I don't know. Like, that's the best kind of.
They talk to each other like that.
Yeah.
What are we having for dinner? I haven't figured it out yet.
So it's fantastic. Ethan Hawke is doing a great job. I wanted to see, he's in Blue Moon, the Linklater film is out in the theaters. Yeah, I'm going to see it this weekend. So I didn't see it before this. We're going to see it.
Very different.
Yeah, sure. But we're on a little Ethan Hawke-assance. But he's doing a great job in this role, and the whole thing has just been fantastic.
What Sterling Harjo is I think, a singular talent. One of the things he does really, really well, and he did this in Reservation Dogs, is he uses non-actor and it's not people do it, but he uses a lot of non-actors, and they're all really interesting people. Like, he finds really interesting characters, like those guys who work in security for his bookstore.
Yep.
And he's a member of the Seminole Nation. He's from Oklahoma, so there's a lot of native rights issues and native issues in the show. And I was telling somebody else that it doesn't look like any show on TV. It's shot in Tulsa. This is a completely unique show. There's no show on TV like this show, and the tone shifting you talked about, Ron, is very similar to what he did in Reservation Dogs, where it would be a slapstick, hilarious comedy one week and a really dark exploration of the native schools in the next week. And it was, I just think this show is wonderful. I'm so mad I'm going to be out of town during the finale, which means I won't be able to watch it for another week after that.
I know, yeah. I can't wait. It's gonna be so good.
The cliffhanger of the second last episode, I was just like, I can't believe I'm not going to watch this. But everyone, this is amazing. He makes such great characters. The daughter's a great character. The ex-wife's a great character.
I mean, he creates a whole universe that you just want, that you get lost in. Like, that's what I love.
Character is the other antique dealer.
Yeah, he's the guy from Best in Show and all that.
Yeah,
yeah, it's so good.
It's just a great show.
It creates this well thought out, lived in universe that is so kinetic and has so much energy, and it's great. And it is funny. I'll tell a quick anecdote. I was listening to there was an event with Sterling Harjo and Ethan Hawke that the guys over one of the guys from the Watch podcast moderated, and they ran it on their podcast, and it was really great. They talked about the production of it, but you guys will appreciate this. Ethan Hawke, just to give it a little like insight into the world of Ethan Hawke, he's on stage at this event at somewhere in LA. It's kind of like a, not behind the scenes, but it wasn't an FYC event, but the kind of, the kind of industry event. And Ethan Hawke is talking about working with Sterling and doing stuff. And he was comparing it to previous work. And Ethan Hawke starts telling an anecdote, and he goes, well, I did a movie once called Dead Poet Society, and as if everyone has not heard of Dead Poet Society, right? And I was just like, I get, like, you don't want to be so, you think that you're so important that everyone knows your body of work, but at the same time, don't be so humble that just assume that nobody have. But he was talking about how Peter Weir directed in a way where, like, he got the sense that he had seen the movie in his head already, and he was trying to get the actors to recreate what he'd seen in his head. And Sterling is very similar in that way, right? Yeah. But it was just very funny how Ethan Hawke just assumed people hadn't heard of Dead Poet Society, which I thought was
a great show.
Yeah. So in addition to the Lowdown, I went to the movies. I had to decide between going to see Tron Ares or Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. And given the fact that
Halloween,
because I don't care about Halloween, but given the fact that Frankenstein is a Netflix movie and only in theaters for 3 hours, I think, I was like, let me go see that before it's gone. So I went to go see that because I was really, really curious, because I feel like I've seen the still of Oscar Isaac as Frankenstein for like the past 2 years. The still I'm talking about with the long hair where he's like pointing.
Wait, is he Dr. Frankenstein?
He's Dr. Frankenstein.
He is Dr. He's Victor Frankenstein. This was fascinating. So it's long. It's 2.5 hours.
It's short to be Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah. Jacob Elordi plays Frankenstein's monster.
He's tall.
This was much more way down the middle than I thought it was going to be. With Guillermo del Toro, we all know Guillermo del Toro and the aesthetic that he brings and all stuff like that. And I will give him credit that there is a poetry to his filmmaking. There's a language to his filmmaking, the composition and the shots and the obviously the sets and things like that. This is a very melodramatic period piece of a story that I thought I knew really well, that he tweaked just enough to keep me on my toes and guessing throughout the entire 2.5 hours to make me think that I did not know what direction it was going to go in, which I think is really, really good. My big criticism with it is that Jacob Elordi as Frankenstein monster, way too handsome.
He's a handsome dude.
I mean, no, he's a handsome dude. And Frankenstein monster was like, that dude's just handsome. Like,
like he's Australian. That's not even.
No, but I don't know if you've seen stills of the Frankenstein. Like, yes, he's got the scar and stuff like that. But at some point, it's like, that's just a hunk. Like, he's just like it's just like sexy Frankenstein. I don't know.
He goes,
exactly.
So ladies wouldn't be happy if they uglied him up.
So I mean, it was really, really interesting in that I went into it expecting like freaky, weird Del Toro with like, hands in the palms kind of Del Toro kind of thing. And it was it was just a fastball down the middle. Enjoyable. Totally enjoyed it. Oscar Isaac is very, very good, but it is totally period piece, totally,
romance.
Not romance, but I would say very melodramatic, very chewing the scenery, very like that kind of like movies I don't really feel like they make anymore in that kind of way. Like it felt like,
unless you're Guillermo del Toro, and
it felt like an old kind of style movie. Very well done, beautifully shot. Really, really interesting. I'm glad I saw it in the theater. Just really interesting. And I just thought the approach that Del Toro took with the story, again, a story that we all know, that we all assume we know, did it in a way that made it feel fresh and new again, which I think is an accomplishment. So, and Christoph Waltz was great in it.
Dr. Frankenstein's the real monster, isn't he?
Yes, he is. So,
all right. Well, that's it for the first segment. We're gonna take a quick break. We'll be back with your mailbag right after this. Okay, let's do this. Our year-end tradition continues. Our year-end mailbag. We have emails that people have written over the year. We're going to get to as many as we can. No guarantees we'll get to all of them, but we'll do our best.
Some good emails, by the way. I'll give audience listeners. I'll give you credit. You did a good job. So
first email from Patrick K from North Carolina. He says, "I was thinking about this since I took my kids to the first Shazam film. But what was a movie you now reflect back on where you think, I can't believe a parent or guardian took me to this film?"
Did you think that about Shazam? Because we grew up in the 80s.
Well, that's the thing. I was
pretty violent, that movie. If you took little kids to it.
No, I did. They didn't. Yeah.
Are either of you guys traumatized by any of the films that your parents took you to? Because no. I'm not.
This is the closest I have.
Not anymore.
When I was 15, I came home and my mom and her, I don't remember if it was her husband yet, or which, there were several, and they were watching Madonna's Body of Evidence. And so I watched her like drip candle wax on herself and then fuck Willem Dafoe in a hood of a car, and I was like, I gotta leave this room now.
I will say I went to see Major League with my mom, and that might have been a mistake, but I because there was some, I was 10,
sure, yeah,
and there was some sexy stuff.
But
there was no like, and I don't know if it's a testament to my parents, but also like we like, they took me to see Gremlins when it was the whole PG-13 nonsense when we were like 10 or 11 or whatever.
That's because it was fun.
Scary. I saw Clue when I was 9, but that was that had some innuendo, but like there was no. I'm reflecting back. I can't believe that my parents just dropped me off at the movie theater when I was 10 or 11, and I went to go see Total Recall, and they were just like, okay, have fun. Like they didn't take me. They just didn't stop me. You know,
I never had any restrictions on what I was allowed to watch.
No. I mean, so the answer is no. Because, I mean, just because we were in the 80s, but like
it was wild, man. It was wild.
I do remember specifically when I don't know what year it came out. Maybe it was like 87. So I'd have been around 10. Having my grandparents were visiting and have them take me to see Beverly Hills Cop 2. And so I was 10, they were in their 60s, and then like, you know, there's a scene in the strip club, and I remember just sinking into my chair thinking, I didn't think this through. Like I don't feel comfortable here right now.
I saw Beverly Hills Cop 1 in the theater. I think I was 8, 7.
I don't think you were that.
It was 84, right?
Yeah, it would have been 84.
I was 7.
Yeah.
I remember that strip club scene.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I went and I saw Police Academy 2 in the theater around that time. Like, I was interested in like those like comedies. That's what I wanted to go see. And I could. And there was, you know, I think Police Academy 2 was still R-rated, maybe PG-13. Again, there's a topless scene and then a whole lot of other stuff. It's not like I can't believe it because it was a different time, but I was like, well, I wouldn't do that. But also I was staying on the other show. Like I took a flight by myself, you know, to Maine at 4. So
he flew the plane.
A different time. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. I was drunk.
Do you like gladiator films, Josh?
Yeah. Josh, read the next one.
There's a lot of text for a sick man. In Dan C. of New Jersey says, in a striking parallel to the opera wars that raged on the Gilded Age TV show, the Metropolitan Opera in New York has been desperately trying to stay relevant by putting out new operas, including some based on pop culture properties. In recent years, there have been opera adaptations of The Lord of the Rings, The Fly, and other movies, but none have been terribly successful. Shocking. What movie or other pop culture property has the scale, spectacle, and big emotions to make for a grand opera? I've been thinking about this since I got my tickets for the Cavalier and Clay opera.
Which, by the way, has been successful. They're bringing it back for a second run.
Despite the critical...
drubbing it's taken. But apparently popular enough, which is crazy.
My main reaction to it is that why do
let it die.
Yeah, right. Like,
you know,
does opera need modern IP to be relevant? Like,
And if so, is it still opera? So what's the point?
Right.
Well, first of all, I think it's great we got an opera question. I don't think we've ever gotten a question about opera in the
That's a good
entire time we've been doing iFanboy. But I agree with you because I've read a lot of articles with this. I keep up with New York news, and I don't know. I think it was part of the whole George Floyd era where they're like, we have to make this younger and more diverse. Everybody comes to see the opera is old and white and rich, and it's like that's who goes to the opera.
Yeah,
and they don't want to see these shows, and that's why these shows have not been successful because the audience that pays for the opera doesn't want to see The Fly. They want to see,
and the people who like The Fly
Puccini.
Don't want to go to the opera. I mean, like it's sad to me. Like it's a person who had like this great career, and as the end of the thing, they start to do things that are trying to be popular. It's. I'm trying to think of an example of it, but maybe that's the time. Opera was a big deal because there wasn't anything else. And then it's been supplanted by other things, and it's still valid and it's still great. But like jazz, that audience is going to keep shrinking until it's only like comic books. There's only a small group of stalwarts. And we've literally seen this exact same thing in comics where it doesn't work either.
I think it's fine to have a thing that only certain people are interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, not everything has to be for everybody and every kind of person. And, it is what it is. People who want to see the opera want to see the opera, and they don't want to go see.
I would challenge people who are into opera and creators and stuff like that to make new operas.
Get out there and make new operas.
Yeah, make new operas.
Where's the Robert Kirkman of opera?
I don't want to see Star Wars as an opera, even though it is a space opera. Don't literally make it an opera. Like
I've seen Star Wars, and I don't want to see a worse, odd, no reason to exist version.
God, an ex-girlfriend was into opera and took me to the opera in San Francisco once, and I just like, oh God, is it over yet?
Weren't you going to go to the Cavalier and Clay one? Didn't you tell us you were going to do that? You told us that.
I might have. I say a lot of things.
We joked about someone needed to cover it, and you were the only one who could. And you were like,
"Oh yeah," and then life got in the way. It honestly, like it came out and got panned. I thought it was going to get canceled, or I thought it was going to get shut down, and so I didn't even bother. If it's still going, I'll go. If the people want me to go,
bring
I'll
it back.
go.
I think in February. I think.
All right, maybe I'll go in February. I don't know.
All right,
I'm a busy.
It's great. The book.
Yeah,
Ron, you have the next email.
All right, Woulter L writes in and says, I just finished listening to the Pick of the Week number 991, and hearing the patron power that you gave out that episode made me think of this question. You gave a listener the power of being able to remove one thing from popular culture. Your explanation of it seemed to indicate that you were thinking he would remove bad things, i.e. Damian Wayne. But I started thinking what damage you could do with this power. What if you'd remove the Beatles? What would that be the most impactful band to remove? How would that change music? And in other media, what would be the most impactful movie, director, actor that you could remove? And the most impactful writer, artist, comic book? Please do as much damage as you can and speculate on the impact. I've been thinking about this for about 30 minutes and 36 seconds, according to the timestamp from your episode.
I already have a lot of answers.
I have so many answers. If I had
this
power,
a movie about this.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. The Beatles thing.
It is the Beatles, and it's not because
it is the Beatles.
The Beatles are. Like you could go, oh, what about Elvis Presley or whatever? But it's because the Beatles were the focal point for all of those things that came before it and spread it out. So you take them out and those other voices, which are relevant, get lost more in the shuffle. So
but also all those artists from the 80s, 70s and 80s,
all the inspirations.
They all said, I watched the Beatles and I wanted to make music. And so
everyone who watched Ed Sullivan.
Maybe half of them don't. Maybe Elvis Costello never makes a record, or maybe Bruce Springsteen never makes a record. And then it's a spider web. It's a cracked piece of glass that keeps.
And then, not to mention, just what it is to be a global pop. Were they the first global music pop stars? They had to be.
Well, I mean, Elvis in a way, but yes, the Beatles.
But Elvis was not.
No, but even before that, if we go back and look at it. In the 50s, you had the arias, the Italian with the Maron.
Going back to opera.
I know, ironically, but
wow.
No, but you had the tenors. The before rock and roll and like popular music, the tenors were like there's the Peter Jackson movie where she's like hugging the record, right, and all that sort of stuff. Like you had so there was the idea of
It ain't the Beatles though.
No, true, it's not the Beatles, but it had a level of stature and of global reach. Of this Italian tenor that where the records reach all the world. The question is that what I find interesting, which could be a great story if someone stepped up and wrote it, is that if you were to remove the Beatles or Elvis or any of these, like the cult, the culturally impact, there's a parallel line that happened in that technology and communication and media
Yeah.
would pick something else up and elevate something else up. So who gets elevated? No, I know you're making a face, Josh, but I think it's the combination of
I made a face because
the Beatles were at the right place at the right time, but if the Beatles were not there, someone else, the Stones would have gotten elevated, or Bob Dylan or somebody. The
point being though is that it's very unlikely that any of those other candidates would have possessed the myriad features that the Beatles featured.
Sure.
So when you talk about technology, we're talking about Apple Studios. We're talking about all of the things that they did musically, all of the things that they did sonically, all of the things that happened global.
Sure, it's the alchemy. It's the alchemy that came together of it all.
There's nothing else. Think of it. Like,
plus their personalities and the way they engage the audience with their humor and all this stuff. The Stones weren't that engaging. Bob Dylan certainly didn't want to be engaging at all, and so But
it'd be tough. This is, by the way, maybe the most intelligent, interesting question I've ever been asked on this show.
Yeah.
This is a fantastic question.
I mean, if you go back and look at movies, I mean, I read this question. I was like, oh God, goodbye, Tom Cruise.
Spielberg. I think Spielberg.
Yeah, and then goodbye, Spielberg. But then if you think about, you do Damage, what happens? You take George Lucas off the board. And it's the combination of Spielberg and Lucas, and the whole blockbuster idea goes away in the 70s. And what is film? Film?
Because The Godfather was a huge blockbuster. So
true.
But it wasn't,
but in a different way.
It wasn't popcorn.
In a totally different way.
It wasn't. It wasn't kids lining up around the block. No elementary school kids were running to watch The Godfather.
I'm changing my vote to Spielberg, not to Lucas, because without Lucas, then you lose Indiana Jones as well.
Yep.
And Spielberg's career is slightly different.
Yep.
And what does that mean? We don't know.
What is the 80s though without
Spielberg?
The 80s? Like the 80s. And the 90s and everything. I mean, I don't
know. But without Indiana Jones, Spielberg does not recover from 1941.
He's murdered, in fact.
Yeah.
Wow.
He just
he becomes a meth head and he dies in a drug deal gone bad.
It's a great question. It's a great question.
One comic person is obviously Kirby. If you remove Kirby, everything falls apart.
I mean, Kirby, you could argue Stan too. I mean, for whatever, I mean, from an art standpoint, but also from a business and,
Yes. Kirby or Lee are the ones you remove to really break it all.
Yep.
I mean, if you shifted it and you said later, remove, I don't know, Jim Lee or Todd McFarlane, that changes the landscape probably about what happens after that.
Doesn't have an impact.
I mean, because it's later, it doesn't have as much impact as something that was earlier. I was trying to think
more Jim Lee than Todd McFarlane.
If I went,
his output was bigger than Todd's.
I'm saying Kirby and Lee starting in the 60s, but before that, I don't know. It's weird because they actually did remove all of the EC Comics people.
And nothing. and it continued.
Well, I mean, before that, you
found a way.
It's only Schuster or Siegel. Other than that,
because
the character is so foundational. But other than that, everybody else was sort of disposable before the 60s, so the names aren't really as important. They are in retrospect, but at the time they aren't as important. Pete wrote in and said, I really enjoyed the conversation about what constitutes classic rock and the larger one about radio, all flavors in Mediasplode episode 61. Absent from the conversation about radio, though, was any mention of college or community radio. I still find a ton of value in these stations, and they remain the source of most of my new music I come across. I'm spoiled by the many options in the New York metro area, but I do also listen to some stations online like KEXP and KCRW, which just got rid of a bunch of DJs. In particular, I'd be curious to know if Ron did or does ever tune into any local college community stations like WFMU, this is like a cognitive test, WFV, WSOU, etc. WSHU out of Fairfield, Connecticut has a legendary hardcore show on Saturday nights in the 90s, or had one. I'll wrap this up with two questions for the group. What is your favorite college community station, and where do you find new music?
Well, those are two questions. So I will say a couple answers. Number one is that when I was in high school, Stony Brook, WUSB 90.1, Stony Brook University had a great radio station, and there was a couple of punk hardcore radio shows. My friend Kyle did one. Bands would come and play live and stuff like that. That was awesome. I still to this day WFMU is on. Is plugged into the radio, is on the dial, like one of the presets. And both me and my wife listen to WFMU. We'll scroll through it. I'll never forget when I was in the first time we went to Emerald City Comic-Con, and I landed in Seattle myself. I got a rental car and I just like was scanning the dial trying to find something, and I landed on a station that was playing a really good
station?
And I found KEXP.
That's the one.
I was like, oh my God. And the whole time I was there, like I just wanted to drive around Seattle and listen to KEXP. It was so good.
I didn't find them until like later when I was looking on YouTube for performances, and they had all these amazing artists like doing live performances on the air.
And there was a period of like 07, 08, 09 where like the question of where do you find new music, it would be annually when I'd go to Seattle and drive around and listen to KEXP. I'd write on either a notepad or on my phone or like on KEXP, they'd list what they played. And I'd be like, what was that song? And like, there were so many bands I discovered just in that weekend of being in Seattle listening to KEXP. Where do you go to find new music now? Fuck if I know. I mean, I've got, like I have some friends, we text each other when we hear some stuff. I mean, every now and then I look on YouTube Music and it says new music and what's posted, and like I'm in a couple of Facebook groups where people talk about stuff, and like, but it's like it's an echo of what it used to be, and it breaks my heart. So
what's too much?
It's too much. It's too much, and it's all broken. There's no curation. There's no curation that we all collectively trust anymore.
So we needed some gatekeeping, and
we did. Oh,
we're 100% pro gatekeepers here.
I'm pro. I'm not pro. I'm not saying gatekeepers. I'm pro curation. Like that's the thing. Yeah. Like back in the day, like the DIY movement was fantastic, in that anybody could go start a band, go record a demo, go make a 7-inch, put it out yourself. Fantastic. But I love the fact that there were and are record labels like Discord, like Revelation, like, Touch and Go, pick your merge, pick your record label. And because from when I was 15 up until now, if a record came out on Discord, I'm like, I'm going to listen to that because I trust them, because they are curating what, it could come, what they choose to put that aligns with their creative aesthetic. And I like their creative aesthetic. And
I think that's still a thing. It's just that the ones that we know are for old people now. And so it's going to be stuff that appeals to like an aesthetic that we already have. But if you're looking at 2 albums and you're like, oh, okay, and you see one of them is on Merge, or one of them, came out on Lookout 25 years ago, you'd be like, okay, well, I'm going to give this a chance because of what it is. Was a thing for me. By the way, where do I get new music? Mostly Ron. I mean, so when he says he doesn't know, I want to address the question is that I didn't have anybody when I was a kid, like, who knew anything about music, or because nobody liked anything. Like, I was looking for something that I liked, but I couldn't quite find it. No internet, no anything. Yeah. I think the record store that was in my town was and is still really good, but I was also a shy kid and I wouldn't talk to the people. So I would just sort of like take a crapshoot in the bins, in the used CD bins and stuff like that. But so I'd always heard tell of this like college radio, and I grew up in a college town. Bowdoin College is in my town, and I was like, oh, and I found and I went for the radios, and like they weren't playing the kinds of things I wanted to hear that I had understood would be college radio, and so like I never got anything out of it. Then we go to
what were they playing?
I don't remember, but it was like, I don't know, probably a lot of lo-fi stuff that was local, and I've never really been into that, and then I don't know, it wasn't cool. Like they just didn't. And by the way, like the kids who go to Bowdoin weren't cool in that way. In that way, it wasn't like there was a punk scene that came out of our school. That wasn't a deal. I got to college and I thought, all right, they have radio stations at this college, is going to be great. And we got hosed on that at Ithaca because they had 2 radio stations, and one of them, the point was, which makes sense, was to be a professional radio station, and as such, it was pretty fucking boring. And then the other one, which was the lesser one, which that one could have been cool, they just played classic rock, and I was like, this sucks. So much. And so because of that experience, like I never really found myself to college radio. I like the idea of it. I know how important it was in the 80s. I actually heard a lot of good stuff on K-Rock, who, when I first moved to LA, who were still tastemakers in that sort of edge of underground punk thing.
Sure, yeah.
It might not have been your style, but college radio was very influential all through our time in college. And
no, I'm just saying I never discovered.
Right, I'm saying, but it was still very influential.
Well, I mean, because you needed a college that had a good radio station and played good stuff, and that's
not like I could listen to WFMU or KEXP at that point. That wasn't possible. I'm just saying where I was didn't have it.
Yeah.
Far enough from Boston, it didn't work either.
Yeah, it's just a tragedy. And Josh, to your earlier point is just now there's just too much stuff, and anybody can put out anything, and anybody, like I could go I could set up, on a computer and plink on an electronic ukulele and put it out on Spotify and tell you that's music.
Or
and
worse than that is you can go to an AI program and type in, I want a plinking ukulele song and put it out on Spotify. And you can put it out under an old band's name that's not your band, and that's all fun.
Yeah.
I will also say that, in terms of me, like new music acquisition, something new to listen to, I go backwards. I do history now. That really is the bigger thing for me is, I will read books about something or whatever, and I'll be like, oh, I'll check. I've always meant to listen to this band, to go backwards and find the historical things that I didn't know about at the time. That's been much bigger for me in terms of it's new music to me, but it has been curated to a certain extent.
And it was funny because I was hanging out with a friend of mine who from the music scene and who's a singer and a studio engineer and that sort of thing. And I said, and I was like, we were hanging out. I was like, so what have you been listening to? What's good? What should I listen to? And he's like, well, I don't know anything that's new. He's like, I discovered this band that put out a record in 2015, but it's new to me and I'm enjoying it. Right. And it's like, it becomes that sort of thing.
Fine.
So yeah, exactly. So.
All right. We got to move on.
I got a pile of records.
Yep.
First print original and I thought they would be terrible, and it's all these great conditioned records. I have a Steely Dan album I'm so excited about I can't tell you.
Good.
All right, Zak H from Milwaukee, Wisconsin wrote in and says, I've been thinking about this for about 8 months since I started listening to all the old Mediasplodes. I know they don't exist, but if the Mafia did exist, what would be some books about them you would recommend? Also, does Ron still think audiobooks don't count as reading?
Audiobooks are listening to stories. They're not reading. It's physically, it's what you're doing.
I mean, that's true.
Right. You're not reading a book. Anyway.
But the thing is, I'll say read because it saves time. And then having to explain the whole thing because I know the information, but I don't want to have the conversation with you, for example, about how valid it is. Yeah. Let me look up the name of the
So author. I've got 3 that'll cover the 3 main food groups.
There you go.
So for the again, these are not real groups, but if they did exist, for the Italian mafia, it's 5
Which they don't. This is all hypothetical, by the way.
Just 5 families, the rise, decline, and resurgence of America's most popular mafia empires from Selwyn Rab.
That one was
for the Jewish mafia, there's Tough Jews, Fathers, Sons, and Gangster Dreams from Rich Cohen. And for the Irish mob, it's the Westies Inside New York's Irish Mob by T.J. English. Those will cover the 3 main mafia food groups from when we were younger. There's obviously more mafias now.
That 5 families one is really going to give you the full overview of the entire thing. It's so much information. It's crazy. But also, if you're from New York City, you're like, oh, all of these businesses were corrupt and terrible.
Yeah. And then also just in general, as always, Wise Guy by Nicholas Pileggi, which is the book that inspired Goodfellas, because like that's a very specific story about a specific place, specific time, a specific group of people, but it's riveting. So.
And they're great fiction. These are great books about fictional stories about people that never existed. What?
Connor, you sent me the book Takedown, The Fall of the Last Mafia Empire.
That was good.
Rick Cowan, which I think is still out of print, but I'm not sure.
I bought it used. Yeah.
It was about what I liked about it's about the trash racket basically in the New York metropolitan area, and like that's a thing that you've heard forever, but like on a sort of soup to nuts ground level of how it actually worked, in your daily life in that person, that was fascinating. I really loved that book.
So there you go. There's some books for you. Ron, take this one.
All right. Doug M writes in and says, I've been thinking about this for 172 hours and have consulted 2 other coworkers on the topic since the Old Men on Old Movies Rad episode. Connor said that Rad was a 2-star movie with a 5-star experience. What are some other 2-star movies with a 5-star experience? Is this the definition of a cult classic? What are your favorite 2-star movies with a 5-star experience? Army of Darkness, Waterworld, Robot Jocks?
I had to Google Robot Jocks. I had never heard of that movie before.
Yeah, and Waterworld is a 1-star movie with maybe a 3-star experience. Army of Darkness is a 3-star movie with like a 4-star experience. And
these are not cult classics. Cult classics tend to be good movies that just didn't get seen the first time through.
Right.
Like Office Space is a cult classic. It's a 5-star movie.
Yeah. I'll give you a good 2-star movie with a 5-star experience. One of my favorites, Real Steel.
You love that movie.
From 2011, Hugh Jackman robot boxing movie.
What people don't know is Ron wouldn't shut up about this movie for that whole entire year.
14. I'm still waiting for the sequel, everybody. I'm still waiting for it. I love that movie.
Well, Hugh Jackman has no problem returning to a character that is long past its sell-by date, so you've got a chance.
Yeah. Yep.
Ron, when you and I saw Punisher War Zone or War Journal?
You and I did.
Oh, Josh and I saw it. Which one was it? Punisher Warzone?
One of them we were laughing. We were laughing in the theater. What movie was that? I can't remember. That was
me
War.
and-
Connor and I
the-
did. Connor and I saw Jonah Hex, and we were not laughing.
No, but the one
With
the one
Ray,
with
with-
that was me and Ron.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was you and me, Connor. Yeah.
Yeah, that was when we saw that. Went to the Friends and Family screening, and they turned on it.
I
Friends
was
and
there.
Family turned on it. It was just
Yeah.
me and
Yes.
I was at that. You're talking. I was there. I remember.
Yeah.
The Friends and Family. I remember. I didn't think Ron was there, but
I
I
was
was
there.
100% there.
I was there.
well, whoever was there with me.
Dominic McNulty
West.
was in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Anyway,
wouldn't
that was
have seen that in another place.
that was such a terrible movie, but the experience of seeing it was so much fun because the audience turned on it, and they were the friends and family of the
That's-
filmmakers.
I guess you could call that experience, but it's not like a thing that's applicable to if you.
No,
watch
the
movie,
experience
you
of
will.
seeing it in the theater that day was a 5-star experience, and I loved it.
Well, yeah, but
I
that's
think
that's an extreme. I mean, what's like Connor? What about when we went through our step up phase?
Step Up, but are those 2-star movies? I don't
Those are
know.
2-star movies. The step up movies are not better than 2 or 3 stars at best.
Which one did we see in the theater? Was it 3D?
I forget.
We saw one of them in the
We
theater.
went through a weird dance movie phase.
I think the.
Those-
this is gonna-
that
by the
could
way,
be
this is going to be different for everybody. This is not
sure.
up
It's
for.
a taste thing.
I think the Fast and the Furious, that first one, maybe not a 2-star.
Oh, those
but
aren't
Connor-
2-star movies.
Huh?
Those are better than that.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's 2, but I remember Connor and I watched them while we were at our office a million years ago. And part of the thing that was fun about it was that everything in them was taken completely seriously. And there was no irony about any of the ridiculous things that people were saying. So it wasn't good in the sense, but it is enjoyable in a great way. I could go ahead and make an argument, and I'm not calling this a 2-star movie, but I would say the closest thing that I have is Reign of Fire. Reign of Fire is not an Oscar-winning movie. I love it. I think there are many, many great things about it.
Not a 2-star movie.
No, it isn't. I don't have an answer for his 2-star movie. I don't. I do have things that are like, I can see on the surface, there's all sorts of things that you say, this is not a great film. It's not necessarily original. It's not this, but when you add up all those things together, it's something better. I do not believe in so good it's bad. I think there's bad and good. Now, the sort of relative quality of a film is maybe a different question than the experience. Is sort of what he's asking about. But I have a hard time coming up with an answer for this because I don't really like anything that's just bad.
I would say Reign of Fire falls in this.
It does. I don't
Yeah,
think it's
yeah.
2.
Yeah.
No.
No.
God,
I think that I'm hung up on the 2. Don't be so specific about the 2.
No, I know. I'm
It's-
just making
it's-
that clear.
I think
I don't
it's
want
a
to notice that you
not
said Reign of
considered
Fire is 2.
a great film,
No.
but a great film experience. A film that we love watching. That we elevate because of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's a much smaller gulf between
Yeah.
2 and 5 is
Yeah.
my point. That's the closest I don't like a lot of bad movies. Like, I think it's fun to watch. Like, I watched Roadhouse at some point a couple of
Roadhouse
years
is
ago.
awesome.
It is, and I was like, this is really funny, but I don't think I finished it. I was like, that was fun for a while, but it wasn't like I gotta see the whole thing.
I mean,
wasn't-
I feel like the whole library of Steven Seagal movies from the late
Mhm.
'80s fall under this
Mhm.
category.
Under Siege.
Yeah, the one with the pool
Out for
pool
Blood.
hall. I'm looking for Richie.
Yeah, no,
Well,
this 100%. Like
Yeah.
those kind of movies, yeah, for sure.
I think that part of it was also
Commando?
just like
Yeah,
the
Schwarzenegger 80s movies.
and this is very personal, by the way. The things that touch you are going to be the things that touch you about it. But like some things that experience ages well and some it doesn't. Like sometimes you go back and you watch a movie that you loved when you were a kid and you're like, okay, this is rough. I can't get through it. Sometimes you're like, this is and that's what Rad is. There was like, this is giving me all the feelings that I want to have, plus nostalgia, plus whatever. It's a piece of shit movie, but it doesn't matter. Like that becomes I guess that is so bad it's good, but it isn't. It's more than that. There's an emotional thing that happens.
Yeah, let's move on. This is
we're gonna get through them all. Everybody, good job. We have 2 more minutes on the show. Let's do it.
sorry, this is the wrong one. I can't see the tiny thing. So Stephen H from Wrexham, this is probably mostly for Josh from Wrexham, Wales, United Kingdom, says, I've been thinking about this since my whole family almost disowned me for being thrilled to buy the book Millers of the Dee, a book about the very specific history of water mills on the River Dee in Wales and Chester throughout the ages. So what's your individual super niche reading material that others try to book shame you for?
Well, first off, I don't think any of us get book shamed.
No,
No,
you
but
might want to check in with your family and your friends about
Yeah.
book shaming.
That's not
cool.
we've all got these things. Like
Yeah.
Ron's super into pinball.
But
Like,
it's not a book,
In a
though. Does
career,
Ron
but
read
it's a
these
niche
pinball books?
thing. I'm like,
Yeah,
you
it's a
could
niche
say that.
thing, yeah.
You could say that to other adults, and they're like, "Really, pinball? Like, you can't tell me you haven't heard that." But like in this group, we're all pretty used to it. What would it be? I've read so many.
Well, you like Arctic Rescue.
I'm reading another book about Arctic exploration right now.
You read at least 3, right?
Oh, I'm way past that.
Yeah, so that's your thing. Arctic
That's
Rescues
one of them.
is one of
not rescues. Like the age of Arctic exploration from like the late 1800s through the Endurance, like 1914, something like that. I'm in there right now. I'm doing one because the town I grew up with, Bowdoin College again. Boom. He had the Perry McMillan Arctic Museum, and I remember going there, and I'm reading a book about Perry. Turns out, giant prick. That's my thing I do now. I've done others. I've read a book about the bubonic plague in
but you're reading lots of them.
1600s. Yeah.
Okay.
My wife made fun of me because the only books that I've read or bought recently have been musician memoirs of people that I know or have seen a lot. Like I just bought Ray Cappo from Youth of Today's book, From Punk to Monk.
Do you ever?
The Krishna guy. So
I love music memoirs too, but I often will read ones about people who I wasn't necessarily a fan of, just because I read the Bob Spitz Led Zeppelin one just because I was like, this has to be interesting. Yeah. And Wurster, drummer John Wurster, like he once said like the Chrissy Hind book is the best rock memoir. So I was like, okay, I got to listen to that. I don't love the Pretenders, but I can respect it.
Sure. I don't think there's any super niche books. I mean, I tend to read books about Hollywood, or books about the war, or books about. I mean, those are pretty not niche. Those are pretty popular.
I mean, it's movies, TV, music, baseball.
Yeah, baseball books.
I mean,
I went on an NBA book sprint for a while.
Sci-fi. I mean, like
All right, last question,
is
Josh.
Neil Stevenson niche?
Yeah,
maybe. Josh, last question. You take it.
Jacob I says, I recently read a discussion online which posed the question, quote, if the G.I. Joe team was tasked to take down the Predator, what 5 Joes would go on the mission? I thought of you guys right away. All right, so right away we're going with Roadblock, I assume. Roadblock and Snake Eyes, they're in the team.
I was going to say Snake Eyes has got to be, has got to.
Roadblock might die. He's a big black guy in the 80s. It was. I
guess it depends. On do we have a setting for them? Like, are they in the jungle like the first movie?
Because then you're gonna say Recondo.
I was gonna say Spirit. You need Spirit.
It depends. You know what?
Spirit.
He does have hunter tracker skills.
Yeah.
That you'd want.
Because if they're in like a snowy port, then you want snowy guys. So it really depends on where.
Frostbite, snow job.
Frostbite's terrible in the jungle.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Lady J.
Shipwreck.
Is he the decoy that the Predator
One
kills?
word, bait.
We're going to send this guy to the bottom of Davy Jones' locker. I don't care if he has a toothy vagina face or not.
Shipwreck walking through the jungle with a big old, he's got a big old target on his back, and you just let Stalker, Spirit, Snake Eyes, Tunnel Rat. You let all the stealthy guys lay the trap, and and Shipwreck might not make it.
And then the bird squawks, and you're like, God damn it. I'll blow you down.
They also don't tell him why he's there. He's just walking through. And so then those guys spring the trap, and Roadblock with his M16 takes the Predator down.
You need Roadblock. Roadblock is doing the big final battle where he shoots him to hell with his giant gun, but then uses his massive strength. But the thing is, here's why Roadblock has to survive. At the end, he grills up Predator burgers. He's the chef.
That's not what I was objecting to. It was the burger. It was the Predator burger.
I got it.
Yep. So
at least I said Predator burgers and not whatever the hell their species is.
I just asked ChatGPT this.
Can we veto that?
And its response is Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, Stalker, and Beachhead.
Yeah, those are all jungle operations people.
Yeah,
because
Beachhead is a survival expert and hardened ranger, unlike to panic and capable of improvising under pressure.
None of these Joes are panicking, by the way. Let's give them all credit.
Yeah, it's true.
I like this tier 2 could win with planning or team support. Lowlight, Scarlet, and Flint and Lady J as a duo.
No one's mentioning Outback, who I think if you're in rough country.
Well, if you're in the desert or in
then you want
bush.
Dusty.
Yep.
I think our answer is better than ChatGPT's, by the way.
I think mainframe could be of use here to kind of get into the tech side of it to maybe figure out somebody
he's
going to hack the alien tech.
He's running support at base. He's not on the op. Is there a place here for Big Lob?
With Shipwreck, I think the two of them.
If the movie's in the
Wait,
80s, Big Lob's there.
Was Sergeant Slaughter in any of the movies, or I'm just thinking of Jesse Ventura?
Sergeant
See,
Slaughter.
you're like he could have been. That makes a little bit of sense.
Wait a minute, that is
the first movie. No,
wait a minute. Are we
that's
sure that Jesse
Ventura.
Ventura's
Jesus.
character in Predator is not Sergeant Slaughter? Wait
It could have been.
a minute, is Sergeant Slaughter not Jesse Ventura?
I mean, if there's a Venn diagram,
Has anyone seen them in the same place at the same time?
I've never seen them in the same place at the same time.
Sliver.
Sergeant Slaughter.
That's a great question. That's a great question. Good job, Jacob. That's a good one to go out on.
Wow. All right. Thank you.
No.
So that was this final Mediasplode of the year. Next in December, we take the month off and replace with the All Media Year in Roundup. That'll hit you right before Christmas. That's where we take a look at our favorites in film, television, music, podcasts, comics, and more. We haven't decided actually the rundown yet, but that'll be coming your way. It's usually about a 3-hour show, so hope you enjoy that over the holiday break. So until then, you can always go to iFanboy.com, check out all the shows we've got available there. We just did our anniversary 20th year 1000th episode, which you can find out in the feed behind this one. And Ron, tell us about your shows.
Yeah,
did.
I mentioned it earlier in the show. Go to
I want another mention to get more money out of this.
Go to AndroidFaithful.com if you're into mobile technology, if you like cell phones and smartphones and stuff like that. We talk about Android phones. We also talk about iOS. And also, if you're like Josh mentioned them in the pinball, if you're into pinball, go to scorp.io. We just launched a new version of our app. We're doing really cool stuff over there. If you're into pinball, check it out. Get in touch with me. I'll explain it to you. It's complicated, but it's a lot of fun. So, and it looks really cool now. It's really good. New logo. So it's awesome. There's the new logo. Woo-hoo.
That's cool. So thanks for watching, everyone, and listening, and whatever you're doing, most likely listening. We'll be back in January with another Mediasplode. But until then, I'm Connor.
I'm Ron.
I'm Josh. Thank you very much for listening, and good luck.
I wanted a Big Lob joke, but you didn't.
I had a joke. You know what happened was I thought of something earlier in the show. I was like, I should say that at the end, and then it came to me. I was like, I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, it's the cold. It's the head cold.
We need much more information on this Joe thing.